In the quiet town of Eldridge, where the streets twisted like forgotten secrets, stood an old Victorian house on Whispering Lane. It was the kind of place that seemed to breathe on its own, creaking floors that whispered underfoot, walls that held shadows too long after sunset, and a garden overgrown with thorny vines that clawed at anyone who dared approach. The Miller family had lived there for generations, but now it was just young Emily, her parents, her grandmother Edith, and their black cat named Shadow. Emily was 12, with wide eyes that soaked in the world like a sponge. She loved Shadow more than anything. The cat had been her companion since she was a toddler, curling up on her bed each night, purring softly as if guarding her dreams. But lately, something felt off. The house, always a bit eerie with its dusty attics and cobweb-draped chandeliers, had grown colder. Emily's parents chalked it up to the approaching winter, but Grandma Edith knew better. She sat in her rocking chair by the fireplace, her wrinkled hands knitting endless scarves that no one ever wore. Her eyes, sharp as broken glass, watched everything. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in bloody reds, Emily noticed Shadow acting strange. He paced by the front door, meowing in a low, guttural tone that sent chills down her spine. "What's wrong, boy?" she asked, scooping him up. But Shadow wriggled free, his claws scratching her arm just enough to draw a thin line of blood. He bolted to the door again, scratching at the wood like he was desperate to escape. Emily's father, Mr. Miller, laughed it off. "Cats are fickle creatures. Maybe he smells a mouse outside." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. The wind howled through the cracks in the windows, sounding like distant screams. She heard scratching downstairs, persistent, rhythmic, like nails on a chalkboard. Slipping out of bed, she tiptoed to the hallway. The house was dark, save for a faint glow from Grandma's room. Peeking in, Emily saw her grandmother whispering to herself, her lips moving in silent rhythms. Shadow was there too, frozen in place, staring at Edith with glowing eyes. Emily backed away, heart pounding. Was it her imagination, or did the clock on the wall tick slower in that room? The next morning, Emily found strange marks on the door, deep gouges that looked like they were made by something larger than a cat. Her mother frowned, blaming raccoons, but Emily felt a knot of fear tighten in her stomach. Shadow avoided her all day, hiding under furniture, his fur standing on end. As dusk fell, the scratching returned, louder this time. Emily pressed her ear to the door and heard voices? Faint murmurs from outside, like children giggling in the fog. But when she opened the door, there was nothing but empty darkness. Grandma Edith smiled at dinner, her teeth yellowed like old piano keys. "Animals sense things we don't," she said cryptically. "They know when it's time to stay, or go." Emily shivered, wondering what secrets the old woman held. Little did she know, the house on Whispering Lane was built on whispers, literal ones, buried in the soil from a forgotten curse. And Shadow was the first to feel it stirring. As the chapter fades, imagine the camera panning over the house, the wind carrying a faint whisper, "Stay, forever." Weeks passed, and the unease in the Miller house thickened like fog rolling in from the sea. Emily's parents grew distant, arguing in hushed tones about moving away. "This place is falling apart," her father said one night. But Grandma Edith would shake her head. "The house chooses who leaves," she'd mutter, her knitting needles clicking like bones. Shadow's attempts to escape became frantic. He'd dart toward open windows, only to freeze midway, as if an invisible leash yanked him back. Emily tried to help, once sneaking him out the back door. But as soon as his paws touched the grass, he yowled in agony, convulsing like he'd been shocked. She pulled him inside, terrified, and noticed his eyes, pupils dilated, reflecting not the room, but twisted shapes that weren't there. That night, Emily discovered the mirrors. The house had many, ornate, antique ones with frames carved in grotesque faces. In her bedroom mirror, she caught a glimpse of something behind her, a shadowy figure, tall and thin, with arms too long for a human. She spun around, but the room was empty. Heart racing, she covered the mirror with a sheet. But downstairs, in the hallway mirror, it happened again. This time, the figure was closer, its face a blur of pale skin and empty sockets. Grandma Edith found her staring. "Mirrors show truths we hide," she said, her voice a rasp. "Don't look too long, child." Emily nodded, but curiosity gnawed at her. Later, alone, she uncovered the mirror and whispered, Who are you? The glass fogged, and words appeared. The forgotten. Emily screamed, but when her parents rushed in, the mirror was clear. The horrors escalated. One afternoon, Emily heard meowing from the attic. Climbing the creaky stairs, she found Shadow trapped in a web of dust-covered threads that pulsed like veins. As she freed him, the attic whispered, names, dates, pleas for help. Help us, trapped. Shadow hissed, his fur electrified. Emily fled, but not before seeing scratches on the walls, tally marks, hundreds of them, counting. What? That evening, during a storm, the power flickered. In the darkness, Emily saw reflections in every shiny surface, windows, spoons, even puddles on the floor. Each showed the same figure, now multiplied, reaching out. Her father dismissed it as lightning tricks, but Emily knew better. Grandma Edith sat by the fire, whispering to Shadow, who sat unnaturally still. Time isn't linear here, she said to no one. It loops, traps souls. The chapter's twist came at midnight. Emily woke to Shadow at her bedside, staring. In his eyes, she saw her own reflection, older, decayed, screaming silently. The cat meowed once, a sound like breaking glass, and fled to the door again. But this time, the scratching was from both sides, inside and out. As thunder rumbled, the house seemed to sigh, and Emily wondered if they were all reflections, trapped in a mirror world where escape meant shattering everything. The walls began to talk. At first, it was subtle, a murmur here, a sigh there. Emily thought it was the wind, but soon words formed, join us, eternal. Her parents heard nothing, blaming her imagination on too many scary stories. But Grandma Edith nodded knowingly, her rocking chair creaking in rhythm with the voices. Shadow's desperation peaked. He'd claw at doors until his paws bled, leaving red streaks that vanished by morning. Emily bandaged him, but the wounds reopened nightly. One day, she followed him to the basement, a forbidden place, damp and filled with forgotten relics. There, amid rusted chains and yellowed newspapers, Shadow dug at the dirt floor. Emily helped, uncovering a small box. Inside, a locket with a photo of a young girl who looked like her, dated 1892. The back engraved, Time halts for the worthy. That night, the walls screamed. Emily's mother woke in terror, claiming hands pushed through the plaster, grabbing her ankles. Her father searched but found only cracks. Grandma Edith whispered incantations in her room, the air growing thick with the scent of decay. Emily confronted her. What's happening, Grandma? Edith's eyes gleamed. The house feeds on time. It steals moments, stretches them. Shadow senses the end. The horrors deepened. Emily's father aged overnight, gray hairs sprouting, wrinkles etching his face. He laughed it off as stress, but Emily saw the truth. The house was draining him. In the kitchen, clocks ran backward, meals rotted instantly. Shadow avoided food, growing skeletal, his meows echoing like cries from a well. A chilling discovery. In the garden, Emily found buried bones, small, feline. Dozens. Previous guardians, Grandma said, appearing behind her. They tried to leave too. Emily ran inside, but the doors locked themselves. The walls pulsed, whispering her name, revealing visions, past families trapped, reliving deaths in loops. The twist struck during dinner. Emily's mother cut into her steak, but blood poured endlessly, flooding the table. Screams filled the air, not theirs, but from the walls, recounting murders long forgotten. Shadow leaped onto the table, hissing at Grandma, who smiled serenely. Time to whisper, she murmured. As the family huddled, the house groaned, and Emily realized, the walls weren't just talking, they were alive, woven from the souls of those who couldn't escape. Time began to fracture. Mornings blurred into nights, seconds stretched into hours. Emily watched a fly hover mid-air, wings frozen. Her parents moved in slow motion, voices slurred like old tapes. Only Grandma Edith and Shadow seemed unaffected, Edith rocking steadily, Shadow pacing eternally by the door. Emily's dreams turned nightmarish. She relived the same day, but each loop added horrors. In one, her father's skin peeled away, revealing clockwork beneath. In another, her mother dissolved into whispers. Waking, she found the house altered, rooms shifted, stairs leading nowhere. The halt begins, Grandma said, her voice echoing through empty halls. Shadow's final attempt. He bolted for an open window during a rare lucid moment. But as he leaped, time slowed. Emily saw it, his body suspended, fur rippling in invisible winds. Grandma rose, her frail form straightening unnaturally. She approached the cat, lips parting in a whisper, "Time! Halt!" The world stopped. Clocks ceased ticking. Raindrops hung like diamonds outside. Emily's heart beat once, then paused. She was aware, trapped in stasis, watching Grandma's eyes turn black voids. The old woman revealed her secret. She wasn't human, but a guardian of the house, cursed in 1892 to bind souls. The Locket Girl was her, eternal, feeding on time stolen from others. Twists unfolded in frozen eternity. Emily saw past victims, their forms ghostly, pleading. Her parents, now statues, cracked like porcelain, souls leaking out. Shadow, mid-leap, twisted in agony, his body aging rapidly then reversing. But the deepest horror, Grandma whispered again, and time lurched forward, but only for Emily. She moved in a bubble of normalcy, while the world remained halted. Alone, she screamed, but no sound escaped. The house laughed through its walls, eternal hunger sated. As Grandma sat back, smiling, Emily realized escape was impossible. Time halted, but terror endured. In the halted world, Emily wandered the frozen house, a ghost in her own life. Her parents stood like mannequins, eyes wide in perpetual fear. Shadow hung in the air, a statue of desperation. Grandma Edith watched, her whispers now audible everywhere, join the chorus. The final horrors revealed themselves. Touching objects unfroze them briefly, a vase shattered endlessly, looping its fall. Emily discovered hidden chambers, rooms of echoed screams, where victims' last moments replayed. In one, a child like her begged for release, body contorting into impossible shapes. Grandma's true form emerged, skin sloughing off, revealing a skeletal frame laced with glowing veins. "I whispered time to halt centuries ago," she confessed, "to escape my own death. Now, you inherit." Emily tried to flee, but doors led back to the same room. Shadow's eyes followed her, pleading. In a desperate act, she grabbed him, unfreezing his leap. Time cracked. Fragments of reality splintered. Her parents crumbled to dust, their essences absorbed by the walls. The ultimate twist, Emily whispered back, "Time, resume." But it backfired. Time exploded forward, aging everything instantly. The house decayed around her, vines bursting through floors. Grandma laughed, body dissolving into whispers that invaded Emily's mind. She became the new guardian, trapped eternally, whispering to halt time for the next family. Shadow, free at last, vanished into the night, but his echo remained, scratching forever. As the screen fades, the final whisper, "Your time," halts now. Viewers, beware the cats that try to leave.